Hey everyone, I am doing Google Drive training today. If you are a board member or committee chair for the Rotary Club to End Human Trafficking, you're expected to be somewhat proficient with the Google Drive, as we use that for our document storage and document sharing. If you do not yet have access to all of our information on Google, please contact the secretary and she will share the End Human Trafficking folder with you so that you have access. You do not need to have a Gmail account to gain access to our information on Google. In this training, I am going to be talking about the following items. Number one, how to create a shortcut in your own Google Drive, if you have one. How to search for any information within our Google Drive. How to share folders or information when you add it. Some basic document management items to include creating shortcuts in different folders in the drive, as well as best practices on how to download, edit, and re-upload anything that you might be changing. I'll also show you how to pin important documents to your browser so that you have quick access to them, and how to add items to the board agenda if you're a member of the board, because you're expected to do that. Okay, so you will see I have a number of different items pinned to my browser. If you are not familiar with how to do this, you can take any window that you have open. I'll just do the Zoom window, and you can right click it, click Pin tab, and that will create a nifty little icon that you can then drag and move anywhere you want it with these other icons so that you have easy access to it. If you have too many and you decide, hey, I don't need access to this item anymore, you can right click it, unpin it, and that will create this really long bar that you could then just close and get rid of, just like you always do. So I highly recommend that everyone on the board pin the agenda for the president's meetings, for the board meetings. So as you can see, I have currently Lisa's year pinned right here. So whenever I want to get to the agenda, I can really get to it quickly. I also have the meeting slides pinned. So I'd recommend pinning those two things if you haven't already done that. Also, if you haven't pinned the Google Drive, I would do that too, because I have mine pinned and it is very handy to be able to get to it really quickly. So the drive, the meeting slides, the board agenda, pin those at least. You can also pin your own documents. So I have the agenda for the PR committee pinned as well, because I currently run that committee, and getting easy access to that is important. Okay, so let's say you just got the End Human Trafficking Google folder shared with you. And let's say you have your own drive and don't want to always go into the shared folder to find the End Human Trafficking folder. If it's important to you, then you can right-click the folder, go down to Organize, go down to Add Shortcut, and then you can add it to your own drive. I highly recommend doing this with your highest level folder, which would be the End Human Trafficking folder. I would not do it with every single document that gets shared with you, because your drive is going to become nuts if that happens. All right, I am currently in the End Human Trafficking Club's account. I have many different Google accounts that I alternate between seamlessly. It is, for those of us that use Google all the time, it's a great way to be able to keep things organized and get easy access. So I own a number of different drives because I have one personally, one for my business, one for every committee I've ever been on. So I have a bunch of them. And currently I've moved over to the club's true Google Drive. And within that, we have the Google folder that everyone has access to. Since Google created this information, the easiest way to find anything in the Google Drive, if you don't already know where it is to search for it. So go up to search, and I'm going to type in slides because I'm looking for the meeting slides. Now, this is where we're going to talk about basic document management, because the top two search results are meeting slides and old meeting slides. If you create something and then add a new version of it, make sure to change the name of the old version to either have old in front of it or archived or ZZZ or something like that, so that when people do a search, they can tell which slides to go into or which policy or which version of whatever. Otherwise, you're going to have a long list and people are going to try and get messed up in version control. You can also look over here and look at the dates and times that people were last in the documents and use that to help you figure out what the latest version is. But it really helps if people rename documents that are old so that everybody knows. So I could say, okay, meeting slides, cool. That's what I wanted. And I could click on that. If you are not seeing what you are looking for, I would hit return, and that would pull up anything that has slides in it. And you'll see all sorts of different choices. So if it has the word slides in it anywhere, it shows up. So this is another way you can go through and say, oh, that's what I was looking for. Okay, so sharing information. I'm going to pop back over to Drive. These are the folders within the End Human Trafficking Google folder. As you can see, a lot of them are organized by committee. So we have the PR committee, we have the secretaries folder, we have the treasurer's folder, we have the membership committee, we have the speaker committee. If you are the chair of one of these committees, this folder is basically owned by you. Now be careful not to go crazy and delete everything just because maybe you don't think it's useful. But if you go into those folders, anything in there that you think is important, you can go ahead and edit, change. If you don't like it, you can create an archive folder and move it into the archive folder if you think that it's obsolete. That's a good way to clean up the area. But if you are the committee chair, you own what's in here. So you can change it and alter it. Also, as the committee chair, you can share the folder that you own with any of your committee members. You can also ask the secretary to do this for you if you're not comfortable doing it. But let's say I wanted to add somebody to the speaker subcommittee. I would hover over that, right click, go down to share, click on the share plus. And within this, I have all sorts of choices. First of all, I can see who has the ability to see that folder. And if you're a member of the board, you can see all the folders. But within this, anybody who is on the speaker committee can also be added and only see the information in the speaker folder. This is a very handy thing to do. It cuts down on the mess of stuff that people have access to, because if they're not interested in the membership stuff, why give them access? It also gives us a little bit of version control so that we don't have all sorts of people in things that they aren't necessarily doing anything productive with. So it is important when you share an item on Google that you ask people what email to use, because not everybody, or some people have an actual dedicated Gmail account that they use for Gmail type items. You'll see I actually use my Yahoo email. So it depends. Some people use a Gmail account, some people don't. So it's always a good idea before you add someone to ask them what email to add. If they have a Gmail account, it's pretty easy to assume that that's the one that they're going to want. So you could always ask them after you add them. But if they don't have an obvious Gmail account, I usually ask first, what email do you want me to share? You also can share via copy link. If you do that, you want to make sure to pay attention to this. I usually have anyone with the link can be an editor. If you do that, you can copy the link, and anyone who gets that link would hopefully then pin it to their browser and be able to get back to that folder and edit anything in there. It is the best way to share the information with somebody who does not have a Google Drive account and does not want them. So that's a good way to do that. Okay, I am also going to show you what some of the weird icons might mean. You will see, I'm now in the speaker subcommittee folder. There are these little weird arrows over some of the W's on the documents in here. That means the original of this document exists somewhere else, and I have a shortcut here. This is really, really, really important to understand. I don't want 2 copies of the policy, and I don't want 2 copies of the process and procedure that the speaker subcommittee uses. I want to have 1 copy in our board area where we have all of our policies and procedures. So if you pop in here, this is where it originates. All of our policies and procedures are in here. And all this does, here's the original speaker policy. You'll notice there's no weird arrow here. This is the original. And all I did to create that shortcut is I right-clicked, clicked organize, did add shortcut, and then I went through and sent it over to the speaker subcommittee. And I could pop in there right now and see that, oh, it's already in there, so I don't want to add it. So that is what I do to add policies and procedures. So if I were the membership chair or programs and projects chair, speaker committee chair, any of the chair positions, if the policy gets updated, the old version should be archived or deleted. New version, then I would want to share via a shortcut to the folder that I own so that I would have easy access. Now, when you make edits in either version, it makes edits in both. So that's an important part to understand as well. Definitely do not ever copy a document and replicate it in a new folder. That will create a versioning nightmare that we don't want to deal with. Okay, let's say I wanted to change this policy. And let's say I hate working within the Google Drive. I really would prefer to do stuff within my version on my computer. So there are a lot of different ways that you can do this, but I would click the 3 little dots on the right, click download. And because I'm on a Mac, it's going to go up here. I would then copy this over to my desktop, make my edits, change the name, drag it back over here. If you don't know how to do that, definitely let me know. Archive this version. I'd actually remove this shortcut first, and you can do that by just moving this one to the trash. Update the policy, change the name on the old policy, send the old policy into the archive folder that I may have created, and then create a new shortcut here. So there's a lot of management to do if you are downloading and editing documents. The key is you want to make sure you only have 1 copy and people know which copy is the latest. A lot of people, as you can see, add dates, which is very helpful. If I change the view from these icons to a list, I can see who owns the information and when it was last modified. So that can also be super helpful. I can sort and change the order, which can be helpful so that people can really figure out which version they want to use. You can also right-click and get file information. And if you do that, that's where you can find out where the file originates, where it's located. So where is it? It's in policies. So I could click on that and go immediately over to policies. So there are a lot of tricks you can use to try to get back to the original location of a document. And I know I'm moving fast, but hopefully you can, since it's a recording, you can go back and rewatch anything that is really too quick. Okay, so I am going to say that I am a member of the Programs and Projects Committee. And we have, as a committee, changed some of our information that we've been working with. And I have it on my desktop. This is new, hasn't ever been on the drive. So I'm going to bring it over. I'm going to drop it in. And it has now been added to the drive. Here it is. I handily named it training document, so I remember to delete it. And I want this to be on the board agenda. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share it via a link. And I'm going to make sure anyone with the link is an editor. So I'm going to copy that link. And then because I have bookmarked or pinned my Lisa's agenda, I'm going to go right over to the agenda. I'm going to make sure the agenda is for the upcoming meeting, which isn't the case right now. So what I would do personally is I would copy the whole agenda and create one for May, and then delete everything in blue, which is all the stuff that the secretary took minutes on, and then just let Lisa know, hey, by the way, I created a May agenda, deleted the minutes, didn't make any other changes. But I would go then over to the programs and projects area. I would then create a new bullet item for what it is I want to talk about. So this is new board item, and then I would double click, right click, insert link, and then paste the link right there. And that is an automatic link directly to that document. So again, those steps are type it in, double click the word you want, right click, insert link, paste the link that you had copied, and then hit apply. So that adds that item directly to the agenda. So that is it. I know it's a ton of information. Obviously, you can email me or call me, text me, whatever, if you have any questions. Mary, or whoever the secretary is at this time, is the one who's technically in charge of the Google Drive and the Google information. So if you have any questions, you can certainly contact them as well. Thank you very much.